Easy Sports Talk Show. We doing a little something a little different, man. We told you we glowing up, we getting bigger, doing all kinds of different things. So we've been off we were off last Saturday. We're gonna be off this Saturday too. We'll be back in the new year strong though, but we'll be doing our thing. But there's something I wanted to. So it came across and I heard about it, Easy. And for those who don't know, that's the one and only Ed Easy Smith. I'm Javon J. Love Adams. We do Easy Sports Talk every Saturday from 10 to noon here in the Phoenix area. So make sure that you check us out, and you can go to easysportstalkshow.com as well to follow us and all those types of things. But beyond that, there was we know about Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins was released and he cleared waivers today, actually, as we're recording this. So he cleared, nobody claimed him. And that it's odd that happens. It's very rare that a draft pick, a first round draft pick, he was top 15 draft pick, that they get released. You'll hear, about Rosen, that after a year the Cardinals traded him away, but that's different. And then he was released after his second year in terms of how that goes. And so it's just very rare that these things happen. So Booger McFarland during halftime on Monday Night Football game, he spoke to the Dwayne Haskins situation, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this, Ed. Is that he mentioned in terms of Dwayne, he needed to take it more like a business. It's not a game. Yes, you're playing a game, but you need to take it more like a business. And then he kind of pivoted a little bit. He mentioned he was talking to the NFL, all the young players coming into the league in general, but more specifically to black men, the black men that are coming in, because the league is comprised of over 70% African-American males. And he caught a little bit of flack for that. And I wanted to get your thoughts on it, because I don't think that I didn't take it that way, in terms of that's people that could be outraged or offended, but people get offended for the craziest things these days. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, Jay, and I'm glad you pulled this one up, man, because we get lost sometime in our weeks, and these sometimes stories go under the radar. And I was real curious of your thoughts, because you said let's talk about this, and we didn't hash it out first. We both wanted to come on and give it the real.
Yeah.
And after reading, I took some time last night, read the article, and I read it a little bit again, just kind of go over it again today before we got together. And quite honestly, man, I'm on a different side. I was a little offended because of the fact that, and I respect all opinions. I just hate when someone comes out, and sometimes, man, you got to remember, it's all for clickbait. It's all for creating a conversation or controversy, if you want to call it that. But Booger, being a black man, especially a former professional black athlete, to call out the black athlete, and specifically black NFL players, like, oh, y'all need to get off of Twitter, and you need to do this, and you need to do that, right? Here's the thing, bro. Like you mentioned, the league is 70+% African-American. So let's take of that 70% African-American players, right? Mm-hmm. And you got Dwayne Haskins. He brought up the other quarterback, Russell, what's it, from the Raiders?
From
Marcus
Russell. Yes.
Okay, so he brought him up. Okay, so that's 2 out of how many thousands of players? And then maybe you can go cherry pick another couple or few that might be more interested in their branding and this, that, and other thing. There are a whole lot of responsible, mature African-American NFL players out there doing their thing, creating foundations, being good fathers to their sons, good husbands to their wives. Right. And he wants to throw it out there. Now think about this, Jay, and I wrote this down. Like back in the day, you used to hear it all the time, right? Say somebody racist or somebody wanted to stereotype us, right?
Yes.
Well, don't all blacks like watermelon? Don't all blacks like fried chicken?
Right.
You make those kind of general statements. You're like, I know black people can't stand fried chicken or can't stand watermelon.
Right.
But when you make those type of stereotypes, you're bleeding into the reason why our country's so messed up sometimes. That's basically black on black crime, if you ask me, from Booger. If you want to, here's the other thing. If you want to call Haskins out, but call him out individually, and then maybe even reach out to him to say, hey, I want to try to help this young man because I don't want him going down this path.
Gotcha.
But for him to call him out and then go a step further, well, I want to speak to all the young NFL black players because none of them are, and I'm like, wait a minute. And have you forgotten that quickly about Ryan Leaf? Have you forgotten that quickly about Johnny Manziel? These are other players, same position, going through the same thing. I
Right.
don't. I mean, they do get called out to a certain degree, but they always get patted on the back, and we want to help them. We want to, until they can't help themselves and they take it too far.
Right.
This is Dwayne Haskins, 2 years into the league. Yes, he is very immature, but
Yeah.
you can't make him the face of all of the responsible black athletes, black NFL players specifically, because that's what we called out. You
Right.
can't make him the face of all of them, the minority, and in place of the majority. And that's why I had such a big problem with this. Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah.
I don't like you calling out this huge group for the immaturity of a couple or singular players.
I think you bring up good points there. You bring up good points. I guess the thing that I thought about is that, for example, when I substitute taught for a while, for about a year and a half when I was going through for working on my master's, and I can remember pulling a young lady aside. She was fifth or sixth grade, but she was steadily just acting up and just acting out and doing all this stuff. And I remember I said something to her. I corrected her when she spoke, and I said, and she said, "No, Mr. Adams, I'm just speaking black." So I said no. And I gave a lecture to the class in terms of on a whole, on a macro level. Just took about 5 or 6 minutes. And then I
Mhm.
also said, and in retrospect, nowadays I probably get fired on the spot for it. But I said, look, and I'm talking to all folks that look like me or that are a little bit more that might be my Hispanic brothers and sisters in here and all that stuff. And I said, sometimes we just got to do a little bit better, and we can't fall back on these on these stereotypes, y'all. I'm not trying to say that you are any different than little Johnny sitting next to you, but I'm saying that sometimes the way that people look at you, that will you just sometimes you have to be twice as good just to be able to get the same respect. And it's wrong, but that's kind of how that is.
Mhm.
And I've talked to my sons about stuff like that too, in terms of when they're maybe pointed out in a crowd, and I say, nah, that, and I go and I ride for them hard. But then I'll also have to say, I'll pull them to the side and I'll say, I don't give a gone about all these other kids around here. I'm talking about y'all right here. These y'all look just like me. I want to make sure that we are doing the things so that we can navigate this cruel world as best we can. And so maybe that's where I took it, but I get exactly what you're saying. And I think it's an interesting dialogue. I think it's, if anything, it's about starting that conversation, because what we hear about oftentimes are those stories, and you mentioned those responsible men that come into the league and they know they got to be about their business, but we hear the horror stories of blowing their money, and by the time they done, they out of the league. And that can be whether you're black or white. But
Yeah.
it just pains me, I guess, so much to see when a young brother loses it all, because it's not, you can't just say, man, I lose 20 million. Let me just go ahead and go on Indeed real quick and see what I can find real quick to get this 20
Yeah.
million back. You can't find that. And I guess that's where I come from on it.
And we know, Jay, we're held to a higher standard in a lot of instances. Just being black men in today's society, we do certain things, the red flag goes up and the spotlight is on us.
Yeah.
And I hate to see a young African American athlete like Haskins blow this type of opportunity, because we don't get them all the time.
Yeah.
They're hard to come by. So when a young man gets this type of opportunity and then blows it simply just because he's not either prepared for it or doesn't put into it what everybody else does, it does open up for, well, there they go again, that type of thing.
Right.
But the bottom line is, you have to look at the numbers, bro. I don't care, there are a whole lot of successful young millionaires, my nephew being one of them, in the
Right.
NFL right now, that I would stake everything I had on, in terms of that young man's got brain. He's got some smarts.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to do right in this world by his and others. And like I said, I just hate the stereotypes, and it really pains me when one of us
Right.
takes the shot,
Yeah.
because we should be uplifting, not pointing out. Even if it was the case, well, there they go again. Why would you want to be the one that points it out for
Good
them?
point. Good point.
You know?
Good point. Good point. I like it. That's what we had to do this. So that's what up, man. Go and enjoy yourself in a dope beverage, easy. So we do this again. We do this every Saturday from 10 to noon. You can check us out. That's Ed Easy Smith. I am Javon J. Love Adams. We're on 1060 a.m. here in the Phoenix area. And so we always say around this time, you can.
Until next week, be easy out there.